I
I'm
did
well.
it. Can you
Yeah,
believe it?
I can because it's really not that hard. I'm typically amused as to why sometimes people struggle with this.
Hey man, I'm not an Instagram guy, so I was quite nervous about getting on.
Well, the first or second or 14th time, I was nervous, uh,
Exactly.
but now I'm nervous because my little thing, whatever the Osmo that I'm using.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm outside because usually we do this later where it's too dark and it doesn't look right.
Yeah.
Um, the table is not perfect, meaning like it's a little bit like uneven,
It's all
and
over.
the Osmo gets very
Okay.
upset and starts shaking to try to reconcile whatever this unevenness is.
Exactly.
So if I wind up like messing with something, then that's what it is. So I'm
We
trying
all
not
good.
to touch. I'm trying not to touch the table so it doesn't.
Doesn't start vibrating, man.
Yeah. All right.
Exactly, exactly. Good man. Well, thanks for having me on. It was a nice surprise when you send me the text, and I look forward to just shooting the breeze with you, man.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what put to mind because we talk all the time,
Sure.
relatively, weekly, if not every other week. Um,
Exactly.
but I have finally uh, worked some level of magic to coerce Allie into watching the Harry Potter movies.
Really?
So
Okay.
we have gotten through three so far.
Very good, man.
She knows nothing. It's like I'll give clues like the whole movie, and she
Yeah.
doesn't grab on. So I don't think she's actually really. I think like is like there's a difference between listening and hearing. Whatever
Exactly. Yeah.
whatever she's doing, like the eyes are clearly seeing something, but I don't think she really watches.
I just see she's just written here. He thinks I'm in. Ali, trust me, you are in. The next thing, Ali, that's going to be on the cards is coming to London for the Harry Potter tour.
Well, that's why I thought we could talk about that because I think she knows about it, and
Yeah.
I tell that story because it's now look if I'm good at something I don't know maybe I can tell a story or two I don't know but that one so how long ago was it that I mean not the most recent one but when I was there for that well that was like a long time ago.
That was 2015.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that was
I mean
2015 because actually the picture came up on my photos a few days ago,
oh it was
and
recent.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was 2015. That's when you did the course here,
Yeah.
and we had three things. We did the course,
Yeah.
we did the Harry Potter tour, and you and I saw Dr. Albert Mannheimer.
which I have no idea whether people are actually going to know who Albert Meinheimer is or
I don't
isn't.
think so.
But anytime you see someone in a wheelchair traversing the side of the moon, you think,
That's Albert Mannheimer, and you and I actually saw him.
oh, that's I don't even know. I have no idea what the actor's real name is.
I don't
Uh,
know.
but he also comes to mind because he is Harry Potter's uncle that he lives with them when he's not at Hogwarts.
That's right.
That whoever
That's
that
right.
actor is, and
Exactly.
they run him over like a train, and
Hey
it's
man, we killed two birds with one stone
we
on that
saw
trip, pal.
Albert Meinheimer along with several other characters from The Naked Gun are some of the most powerful comedic characters you'll see of
Fantastic,
all
eh?
time. But but
Exactly,
the
man.
but that Harry Potter tour actually happened by accident,
It
right?
did
Like
happen by accident.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, yeah.
whatever day I was available, I think we did our course what Friday, Saturday, Sunday, something like that.
It was something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and then I was available Thursday because I was doing other stuff in London earlier in the week. So I was
Correct.
available Thursday, and Thursday is the only day that the real Harry Potter the
Tour.
set, yeah, which is
Yeah.
how would you say it? Obviously, you live in London, but you're not British. You're from south of it. So, but like you're still part of you people. So
Okay, I'll take that one.
yeah. So you people call it like the country. Like it's far, right? It's not like in the city limits.
No, 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 no. It's far. It's far.
Yeah.
The country's far.
because I explained to Allie that everything in all the movies was filmed in the UK or in
Yeah,
London, area, because that's what J.K. Rowling is. She insisted upon, um,
correct.
and that's all like the sets of the movie that wasn't filmed, on site.
Exactly, exactly. So
But that was
it,
closed.
that was closed.
Yeah,
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 that was closed. So we did everything within the city of where they filmed, where we went to, where did we go? Went to Borough Market, where
yeah,
they
yeah.
filmed some of the scenes there. So listen, you know Harry Potter way better than I do, pal. So I was going along for the ride. That's all.
Well,
Uh,
you and your family tricked me. You're like, yeah, we're just gonna do a walkabout, or
we
just
did.
I'll just show you some places in London, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Like, we could do that. That sounds really good idea. And then I knew something was a little bit up because we had to get a tube ticket. So what we would call the subway,
The subway, yeah,
or
yeah.
the underground. It's called the tube there, and it's and you're like, yeah, we might need it for where we're gonna go. I'm like, okay, cool. Now, how did you pull it? Like, so basically, between the point that you told me that we were gonna just do a regular walking tour, you already had this set up.
We had the setup from when you originally decided to come over to London.
Oh, so
So
you already knew. You already see this part I didn't know.
yeah, yeah.
You knew that I would want to have gone to the Harry Potter set.
Hey man, come on. Of course.
Okay,
Come on.
okay.
If I could have
And
taken you to the Green Lantern set, I would have. Of
yeah,
course,
well,
man.
how about
Yeah.
this? Well,
There we go. There we go. So no, absolutely. We knew straight away, man. We've got to take Charlie to Harry Potter. That's the thing.
yeah,
So
and that was and then several years later, I have no memory of what I was there for. But we met up at the same place that tour started, which
I
was
think yes,
Borough Market.
it was Borough Market. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember
And
because it
hold on,
couldn't
what did we have at Borough Market? Did we have that? Did we have
gelato
that? We had gelato.
and coffee, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
yeah. Like we were, but I remember I was like, dude, I know I've been here before, and
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like, I
yeah.
don't know. And then I realized that I saw the leaky cauldron, which is like a boarded up, condemned building, but
Correct.
it has the three the three claw marks on it, which is how anybody would know it's obviously the leaky cauldron. Yeah,
Exactly.
and so I asked Allie this morning, like, do you know where the leaky cauldron is? And she
She could
act
have taken that out of context, pal.
well, she accurately said Diagon Alley. I'm like, wow, that's good. That's really good.
All right, man.
So that's
So
so
she's a lot more into it than she's
no,
making out that she is.
no, not at all, not at all. She probably hates it, but I'm insisting. No, I'm insisting that she does this because when we go to when we go to Universal, because
Yeah.
Universal's not really like Disney. Disney, I can go every week and go on like the same ride, and it's still an emotional experience. Like it's still like exactly what's going to happen. You've done it a million times, but there's still something about it. It's very hard to explain.
Got it.
Universal does not have this magic. You go once every 5 years, but
Okay.
maybe other people feel differently. So what I'm getting at is that I actually have to pay for tickets to Universal, whereas Disney is on the annual pass. So if you go a
Exactly.
lot, it spreads it out. I am not paying $150 or $180, whatever it is, for her to go to Universal and not have a clue what's going on on all these Harry Potter areas.
Exactly.
So that is
Exactly.
so I'm trying to monetize my investment here. Um, so
She's
or
under pressure, pal. She's under pressure now.
or like
Huh?
like something will come on in the movie and I'll be like, yeah, that would be a pretty cool ride, don't you think? She's like,
Yeah.
and then of course because it is a ride in
Yeah.
Universal. So and
Hey,
she
man.
says she'd rather see Jaws, except
I saw that.
Jaws is gone. Jaws is not even at there. It's not even
Oh,
at
really?
Universal
It's
anymore.
not. It's not at Universal anymore.
I don't think so. They took that out a
Uh,
long time ago. Or
Geez, man.
I know they took out King Kong, but I'm pretty sure they took out Jaws too. I
I haven't
mean,
been to Universal in years, man.
the
Yeah, yeah,
what
a long time.
what's the closest you? Well, I think sometimes we think that the UK and Europe is like really far, but the you could probably fly longer staying in the continental US versus going from like Boston to London. Like Boston to London might be 6 hours.
Yeah, it's 6, 7 hours.
Yeah, so if you fly from Miami to Seattle, that might be just the same. So
Yeah,
I'm thinking like Universal in Florida is probably the just as close as the
exactly.
where the closest one from there. The next one would be, is there one in Dubai? I don't know.
Oh man.
They have everything.
They've got everything, I suppose. You know, we
Yeah.
got a few things here, but nothing to the degree of Universal or Disney.
Well,
You know, you got Disneyland Paris,
yeah. But
but I've
the
never been.
UK, uh, uh, whatever. I don't always. I get them wrong sometimes, so that's why I always say the UK. But I know it's not in Scotland, but there's some legitimate like roller coasters.
Yeah.
'Cause, like what I forget what it's called, like something towers.
Oh, Alton Towers.
Yeah, that's no
Yeah, yeah,
joke.
yeah.
I mean, you can die on those roller coasters. I mean that's kind of like the measuring stick if the roller coaster is legit or not. Like, can you die?
Dude, I think a few people have come pretty close to it. Don't joke.
Well, I study them. Like if I it's in my like YouTube subscriptions,
Right,
and
right.
like what happened on the Smiler in 1994? Where and like that's the clickbait. Then you find out, yeah, like four people didn't strap in and they flipped over like you were doing the
Exactly, man.
the old computer game where you could take the roller coaster and have it jump off, and the maximum people you could kill was six. Uh,
I dig that.
oh
Very
man.
cool, man.
So yeah, so you're still in the office, huh?
I'm still, you know what? I decided to stay here for the night. Well, for us to do this because if I go home, man, the kids will go nuts, and I won't get any. I won't get any quiet time.
Because I expected
Uh,
them to come on. I expected them to insist
oh,
that they were going to
really?
be on here.
Oh man,
We'll
that
do
would
it again.
cause. We'll do it again, but that would cause chaos, man. You know, I got, as you know, my two girls are more like two boys, pal, and they go nuts. And yeah, you know, so I just thought, you know, you and I will catch some time together here. So the gym is closed. We closed about 30 minutes ago.
yeah
We've had actually a really busy day here, which has been pretty cool.
yeah
And so now it's just me, man. So got the whole place to myself, and we can have a chat and go through
yeah.
some stuff. Yeah.
Our is business like for a gym back to normal there yet, or is there still restrictions or challenges?
Well, there's no restrictions, but there's definitely economic challenges, Charlie. No two
Ah,
ways about it.
yeah,
And you know, obviously, we live in a very different space compared to all the commercial gyms. But a lot of the commercial gyms in London are taking some serious strain.
mm,
In actual fact, I had an interesting conversation about a week ago. We had one of the techno gym technicians come here just to service our skill mill. And he was saying he went to a very, very popular commercial club about 2 weeks ago to go service all of their treads and their bikes and everything else. And he got there at about 5:15 in the morning, which is about 15 minutes after opening time. And he was servicing everything for about 7 hours. And he said in 7 hours, two people came through the doors. Now, this is a club that within 7 hours of operating on a normal day, you'll get anywhere between 300 to 500 people walking through the doors.
yeah, I believe
And
it.
yeah, so commercial gyms have really quietened down significantly. And from our perspective, obviously we quietened down, you know, during the opening of lockdown. You know, so when people started to come back, we weren't as busy as we were, but we're definitely picking up. We don't have the same numbers as we had in February 2020, but I don't really think any gym in this sort of proximity of where we are
Yeah,
operating at full speed ahead at the moment.
mm,
But you know, inquiries are coming in fast and furious. Me personally, in my own capacity, doing my back rehab, I'm as busy as ever. So you know,
yeah,
no complaints there. But
yeah,
listen, it's challenging times, and the world has changed. You know.
yeah. I think I think my circuits are relatively closed, where I'm not familiar with too many people that have stayed afloat and are still struggling. Like if they were struggling, they were done. Like they locked up. They were done.
Right.
So the people now, again, I don't know everybody's specific numbers, but it appears that they're running their business in a similar capacity. I don't know where. Obviously, I'm not familiar with everywhere in New York. You can't get into a gym without showing your vaccine card. But I don't have any idea, because my office is in the, like, I would be exempt in let's say if Drive was still open and you were a patient, you would not
Yeah.
have to show, like, when you're coming to see a licensed healthcare professional, you're not required. So that building, that space, kind of serves multiple purposes. So
Got you.
if you're coming in as a custom, because all of those law people, it's sometimes it's challenging for people to understand. It's about like public health concern. It's not about like the
Of course it
actual,
is.
yeah, because like how is it that you can literally walk into the same exact building and the rules be different? Well,
No.
the assumed reward for in theory the same risk is acceptable when you're coming for a licensed healthcare professional versus fitness. Now that's a whole nother discussion whether fitness is should be considered something like that, but in New York it's not. So
Yeah.
but
We've got no restrictions here, per se. So there's no government restrictions. People come to see, myself or the fitness professionals here, or even going downstairs to some of the physical therapists. And at no stage do they have to, they don't have to be vaxxed. But what we've done in Performance RX is we've applied our own sort of rules, so to speak. Everyone wears masks downstairs. The professionals have got gloves on. They've got shields on. When I do my consults, I've got masks, gloves. So, we're doing as much as we can to protect ourselves, our clientele, and then obviously their immediate relatives and friends close to them, because our cases are rising considerably here in the UK. We're sitting at between 40 to 50,000 new cases a day. And there's many guys now who are double vaxxed that are now getting COVID.
yeah,
So it's, listen, things are all over the place at the moment. So
yeah,
within the confines of RX, we're doing whatever we can to protect, as I say, ourselves and all of our members here. And everyone who's training here is seemingly very happy with what we're doing. We got the place professionally cleaned every single day, 7 days a week. So, and me personally, I'm absolutely nuts about cleanliness and making sure that we stay on top of all of our hygiene protocol.
yeah.
So, hey man,
The
so we're doing what we can.
I think most people that are doing that. I think what's probably unique here, and it's easy from my perspective, because I'm in Florida and New York. You basically couldn't be more diametrically measured between these two locations in terms of how
Right.
the sociology of how people look at this particular situation. Where in one location it's very, very close to what you described, versus in another location, that's where I just wear a mask all the time.
Got it. Got it.
Because I'm driving now a little bit, as well as being on a plane. Obviously, when you're on a plane, you have to, in the airport,
Sure.
it's not an option. But when I go to like a rest stop to go to the bathroom or something, it's always on. It's not even. And you look around, it's like some days it's like, wow, everybody's wearing a mask, and then the next time, like, no one's wearing a mask.
No
Like,
one's exactly.
It's really it's odd. I don't, because it's hard to determine. But it's also a rest stop, so people are driving. It's like you don't know really where they're from or whatever.
Yeah.
And obviously at Disney, which seems to be like the measuring stick, because like when things were like really strict, so now it's almost like a year ago. Disney was hands down, of any place that I went outside of professional sports situations.
Yeah.
It was like equal. Like you couldn't, like they would do the temperature. They would do you had to wear a mask everywhere. Then
Got it.
months went by, and it went to you had to wear a mask to anything inside, but not outside. Then it went you didn't have to wear a mask at all. But I think that
Got it.
lasted. I think that didn't even last 2 months. And then it went to what it is now, which is you have to wear it inside. Obviously, you take it down when you're at your table to eat.
Yeah.
But anything outside, you're good. There's no
But
social.
inside, you got to wear it.
Yeah, no social distancing.
Yeah.
And they enforced it. Like it was real. Like it was like in the supermarkets in the beginning back in Greenwich, they would have like arrows of where you're supposed to go, and no one did it. And it's like I got bumped into. Now I know I'm wider than most human beings. Yeah. But like I'm like, if you're ever not supposed to bump into somebody, this is pretty much the
The
time.
time. Exactly, man.
But yeah,
Yeah,
so
but some people have got absolutely no awareness of their surroundings and what they're doing. It's sort
yeah,
of just complete blinkers on, and man, we're going to do what we want to do.
yeah,
But even now, if I go to the shops or go get groceries or lunch or anything like that, man, I'm on with
yeah.
the mask, I'm on with the gloves, and it's just for me, it's becoming a little bit of a norm now. So,
Oh yeah,
hey,
yeah.
man.
You can
So.
make it a style thing. Like what do you?
I need a
Uh,
Green Lantern mask.
I have one.
Good man.
The when you mentioned the facility, I think now look, we've probably known each other, for a very long time. I don't know the
Yeah.
years, but I think because of over the last 4 or 5, however long, your for lack of better term, ascension, because that's clearly what it is. You're clearly recognized as a how do I say it? Because if it was America, you would have to call yourself a rehab specialist or something, because and I'm sure there as well, you legally don't call yourself a physio. There'll be a
Oh,
physiotherapist.
definitely not.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I'm not a
but
physiotherapist.
and it's a big part of my message where I'm very consistent. Like if you have the skills to do something, then I don't care where you went to school. Like it doesn't. But what I would say is people that don't have the medical degree rarely, not never, rarely have the opportunity to get enough reps in these types of situations. So first of all, you by hook or by crook, you gain the knowledge to be entry level. So if you do it this other way, which a lot of people find very distasteful, there you can still learn the knowledge. I mean, I could, do things that even from my brief time working in the Marine Corps, there was a larger scope of practice for a physical therapist than there is in any state.
Got
So
it.
there's a perspective and a knowledge that you learn because you could do it there. You can't do it in the real world. But a lot of times I would say, like, it's not that people are not intelligent or they actually have bad, concepts that they're applying. I would say that it's very challenging, if not impossible, to gain the repetitions to make mistakes, to fortify what you believe. Because I would say you cannot believe anything until you have succeeded, failed, and then succeeded again.
Correct.
Now, that's my opinion, and I think there's a lot of people that have somehow navigated that, and you're clearly one of them. I'm sure there's things that you specifically do not do, that whatever your standards are, as well as the laws of your land, because in America, every state would be different. You see what I'm getting at? You were after you. I think obviously had significant mentorship from Dr. McGill. You were then able to gain repetitions as this performer, whatever we're going to call it. Because if I say clinician and then that word triggers a particular definition with somebody, they're going to go nuts. The bottom line
Exactly.
is you have ascended to being recognized as one of the top rehabilitation providers for complex spinal issues. And so why don't you fill in some of the gaps? Maybe what brought you to Dr. McGill many years ago, and then how you got to what I just described you as.
Charlie, that's a very accurate sort of picture of who I am, because I live in a little bit of a strange world. I get many people asking me every day. I get calls and I get emails. Joel, can I mentor with you, and can I intern with you? And the issue is, I started my life off very much as a fitness professional, and then I got into the world of strength and conditioning. And literally from day one of me being qualified and opening my facility back in South Africa, this was many years ago, this was back in about 1996, I was thrown literally into the world of MSK rehab. And the reason that occurred was because we had about 3 or 4 orthopedic surgeons who were members of our personal training gym back in South Africa. And in those days, Charlie, there were very, very little rules and regulations that governed, orthopedic surgeons and who they needed to refer to, especially back in South Africa. So they were training at our gym, and it was like, guys, we want you to look after our post-operative patients. And I shudder to think what I used to do back in 1996 with post-ACL rehab and shoulder rehab. In those days, I didn't deal with low backs at all. But again, it's the repetitions of you making mistakes, not detrimental mistakes, not fatal mistakes, but mistakes and just guiding people slightly off path that allow you to sit back and reflect on how you're going to become better at giving the service to people.
That's right.
So that's essentially how I got into the world of rehab. And it was a little bit of, baptism by fire, so to speak. I was thrown into the deep end, and I just had to learn how to do things. But I sustained quite a major injury to my back many years ago back in South Africa, because it was a combination of martial arts and bodybuilding, and I used to do stunts for martial art films. And I got something called, most of the listeners will know, but I picked up a spondylolisthesis. So I fractured the pars bones, and I got a grade 1 slippage of my L5 over my S1. And I landed up in extreme pain. It was these episodic spasms where I couldn't move. And I went to a neurosurgeon in South Africa, and just the short of it, he basically said, listen, pal, don't be a personal trainer, give up your job. He said, because if you don't, he said, within the next year, you're going to come to me and you're literally going to be disabled and you'll land up in a wheelchair. Those were his words to me. There were no bones about it. He didn't hold anything back.
Hey, Joel, let me pump your tires here. At that point, how many years are you out of being an Olympian?
Say that again, Charlie.
So this is now a couple years after you were, Taekwondo national team.
Karate.
Yeah. Because you're telling, an Olympic level athlete that they're going to be in a wheelchair. Yeah, that person needs some advice on how to communicate to people.
Oh, completely.
Yeah, that's my point. That's my point.
Yeah, no. I wasn't far out of that, man. He was the epitome of someone who had no idea how to use the correct narrative. Nothing.
Yeah. It'd be like, next week, I'm going to get a PRP in my hip. Look, we all face our mortality. But sure. I know the dude. And, and if he's running his script, I'm going to look at him like this.
Exactly.
Who are you talking to? Telling me, I don't run. I don't want to run to the store. So it's, but yeah. So
it was terrible.
You clearly rejected that at that point.
Completely. I rejected it. So, and in those days, Charlie, back in, I can't even remember when this was, but in those days, we never had the internet. We never had Instagram. If you wanted to get hold of someone, you had to fax them, and especially if you were in South Africa, Yeah. So anyway, cut a long story short, that year, I couldn't get to the NSCA conference, and my business partner and I used to go every single year to the NSCA conference. And for some personal reason, I couldn't make it that year. And my business partner went, and he knew very well that I was battling with my back, and I was trying to overcome this thing that I didn't really know much about. And he came back from the conference and he said to me, he said, Joel, he said, the keynote speaker was literally the best keynote I've ever seen. And he said, I've bought his book for you. And he threw down the very first edition of Low Back Disorders on my desk. And he said, you've got to read this book. And that was my first exposure to Stu's work. And
what year was this?
This was 2004.
And I'm going to tell you, the first time I ever heard of him was 2003.
There you go.
That was probably when his first batch, if you will, of research started to really become public outside of those journals. And yes. I remember it was the iteration. I was there with Keith D'Amelio, and it was in Danvers, Massachusetts, and it was the precursor, or the version of what we now know as the Perform Better Summits.
Got it.
So this was half of where you would think of whoever's kind of like older in Perform Better now. They were there.
I'm with you.
Yeah, and then they combined with another company called Northeast Seminars, which is still a major player. I don't really fashion a lot of their stuff that they have, but the owner is a great guy. And so it was like half and half, and there was like this joint venture. So McGill went on, and I remember the line, and I don't do voices. It's just me trying to sound like someone else. And the people in the crowd were going at him because he was saying things that challenged the current norm in terms of, at that point, it would have been a draw-in. And his message was draw-in is not accurate or whatever. I would simply say, I don't think your spine is going to explode if you pull your belly button in. In fact, I think you should be able to pull your belly button in. I don't think it has significant value in the big picture for where we're at today. And this is what he said, which I'll never forget. He's like, sir, I understand what you're saying, and I think you're barking up the wrong tree. You call me an elitist. However, I think you're absolutely correct. I plan to be elite in everything I do, and I'll never forget that. And I also got that book. I don't know if it was the first or second edition, whatever. If I had it in 2003, whatever.
That was first edition.
Yeah. And I'll never forget. But now I remember at that conference, Mike Boyle, Mark Verstegen. Those were the three that I remember. And this was like literally 03. I could bring it up to Chris Poirier, and he'll remember it. He probably remembers it from this odd business venture with another group. So
exactly.
So look, middle 2000s, you get exposed to McGill, and what'd you do? You just started to teach yourself.
No, well, I just read the book cover to cover, and honestly, Charlie, the first time I read the book, for me, man, it was like reading a foreign language. I couldn't get my head around, all the research, and it. At no stage was that book a step-by-step guide in taking someone, from back pain to out of back pain. It was
I think that was more of like
just
a
research.
Concept and fitness.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Like there was no diagnostic value. I don't remember it.
Not massively. No, not massively. But anyway, as I went through it more and more, I started to sort of conceptualize in my own head what Stu's research was all about and how I could apply it. And then I emigrated to the UK in 2006. I got here at the beginning of 2006 in April, and I'll never forget this. I was sitting in a gym, in a personal training gym that I was just working in. I was renting space there, and I was training my clients. And I was talking to one of the trainers who was actually studying to become an osteopath at that stage. And we're just chatting, and he says to me, so Joel, what are you currently reading? Like what piques your interest? And I said, Ian, I'm reading a book called Low Back Disorders by a guy by the name of Stu McGill. And he goes, really, that's very interesting. He said, I just got an email from an orthopedic company that do education to say that Stu McGill is coming to the UK, coming to London, at the end of 2006 to present at an orthopedics conference to orthopedic surgeons and physical therapists. Anyway, that for me, Charlie, just that was like, showing red to a bull, man. So I got home and I opened up low back disorders and I got onto the University of Waterloo's website and I started emailing Stu, just giving him an outline of my background, who I am, my story, that I'm from South Africa. I've just arrived in the UK. And I said to him, I said, listen, Dr. McGill, I said, I've been told that I need to stop my karate, my weightlifting, my martial arts, everything I do because of my back problem. Please, can I get some time with you? I know you're coming to London. I'm happy to pay you whatever. Anyway, for about a week, Charlie, I didn't get any reply. And then I took it one step further and then I started to phone him at the University of Waterloo and I left a couple of voice messages on his answering machine. Anyway, about a week after that, I got an email and I'll never forget how I've still got the email and it said, Joel, I literally get thousands of emails a day. He goes, why I'm answering your email, I don't know why. He said, however, it just seems to me that you're a highly persistent individual and there's something, and he said, maybe it's the fact that you're South African and I really, really had a lot of time for Mel Sif, right? That's urging me to reply to your email. And he said, listen, he said, I'm coming to London. I'm coming to this orthopedics conference. I don't know whether I'm going to have time, but send me your mobile number. And if I've got time, I'll give you a call and we can meet for an hour or so. And I emailed him back. I said, I'm extremely grateful. Thank you very much. And then I realized that I couldn't join this orthopedics conference because you had to be a registered physical therapist or an orthopedic surgeon.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got one of my mates here in the UK to give me his number and I signed up under his name.
Fraudulent behavior.
Completely fraudulent behavior.
Completely not proper.
Not proper, not English. Completely South African. That's what we do in South Africa. And I got into the conference and I had spoken to Stu before. We'd emailed each other and I said I was going to be there. And anyway, at the end of the conference, he was absolutely bombarded by this whole host of, individuals who were pulling at him and trying to get him to answer things. And as you know, Stu gets a little bit flustered when there's too many people around. He sort of can't handle the chaos, right? And he looked around and sort of caught my eye and he turned around and he said, sorry, everyone, thank you very much. He goes, Joel and I have got a meeting. He used me as a scapegoat completely. And he sort of managed to get out of there and he grabbed me and he said, Joel, come, let's go get a beer. He said, we can sit and we can talk for, 5-10 minutes. Charlie, 5-10 minutes turned into 3 hours. 3 hours has turned into 17 years.
Yeah.
And so that's the long and short of it.
I think people that have some level of perceived success, because success is a weird thing, but they're always going to have a story like that. Always going to have where, whether it's me or anybody else, because I could think of, people would say like, how did you get to that point? It's literally like, I could say luck, like and I think it's best described in Gladwell's old book, Outliers, where it's just, it's, I don't know why people like, they don't like the word luck, because for instance, if I say, I think I've just been lucky. Charlie, don't say that. Like, you worked hard. I'm like, yeah, of course I worked hard, but I'm like, all right, fine. So maybe I hit a double off the wall, but somebody still had to let me pinch hit.
Exactly, man.
And
exactly.
And to not only that, but I look at, because I feel like this a lot, where I might have been something like that for other people, but they seem to forget. And I know you have not forgotten, and I certainly don't forget the people that I know brought me to the dance. And I think that's one of the best parts of the story, that you have this randomness, you showed persistence or whatever it is, but ultimately you don't forget the name. Like,
Definitely not.
Yeah. And that's, I think a lot of people don't, they somehow they seem to forget the people that got that helped you up the ladder. You think you're on some different ladder, or something like that. So
nah, Charlie,
Yeah.
every day is a day of eating humble pie. That I
Yeah.
tell you, I'm eternally grateful for the position that I'm in.
Yeah.
I know I'm in a very unique position, particularly the fact that I live in two worlds, and I don't belong in any one of them
Yeah.
directly, right? So I'm extremely grateful to everyone that has given me the opportunity to be able to explore, experience, and upskill myself. But it's interesting when you turn around and you talk about luck. Again, in South Africa, I had the pleasure of meeting Gary Player, the PGA golfer. And Gary's a very, very interesting individual. And I'll never forget in an interview, I can't remember which tournament he had just won, but he was walking off the course, and this young interviewer came and sort of shoved the microphone in his face and said, Gary, tell us, how you sort of got so lucky and how you won all this, how you got to this stage in your career. And he turned around and he said, young man, he said, the harder I practice, the luckier I get.
Yeah.
So,
That's many ways to say it. Yeah.
of course, many ways to say it. But that's the thing. And, Charlie, there's not a day that goes by when I don't walk into my facility and I'm going to see a back pain patient or I'm going to see a follow-up. And in my head, it always feels like I'm taking that very first step on my journey. I'm lucky. I sit now on a medical panel here in the UK in a spinal multidisciplinary team meeting. And I'm sitting there with, orthopedic surgeons and neuroradiologists. And I'm extremely humbled by the fact that I have an opportunity to sit and learn from these absolute professionals, world-class professionals. So I count my lucky stars every day, man.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so what year you met him in 06? So it might have been another couple years where then you shook my tree. And
I didn't shake your tree too long after that.
Well, then we had the internet.
Yeah, we did. We did.
And you came to New York because I was in a situation where I could have people come. As the years went by, it wasn't feasible anymore based on my schedule, based on what Drive became. Couldn't have people in there anymore. So, but you were there for at least a week, right? I mean, you don't come to
I was there for a week.
Yeah.
I was there. So I'll never forget. So what had actually happened, Charlie? So I got to the point of where I was working. I was still an independent contractor at a personal training gym here in London. And unfortunately, the team who was there, we were all individuals doing our own thing, but there was no cohesiveness. And, everyone was quite sort of self-isolated. They didn't want to share knowledge with anyone. And I was desperately searching I'd spent a lot of time with Stu, but now I was desperately searching for just another avenue of education and just to, the old saying as iron sharpens iron. And I'd been following you for quite a while, and you had a brilliant blog on your old website called Charlie's Random Thoughts.
And it was, they were later on. Okay, yeah.
I absolutely loved them. And anyway, I used to read your stuff, and I just thought, hey man, this guy makes a lot of sense. And I'll never forget, I was actually lying in bed reading it one night, and that's when I decided to reach out to you. I sent you that email, you replied pretty quickly to it, and you were very open and very welcoming. I told you that I work with Stu McGill. And you said, hey, Joel, would love to have you over, and booked my ticket and came to New York for a week. And I hung out at Drive, and you were very, as I say, very welcoming. You allowed me to observe what you were doing, both in the clinical setting and in the fitness setting. And it really, it opened my eyes to a whole bunch of things, man. So, and a great friendship has blossomed from it,
That's obvious. And when we're talking about Harry Potter and telling me I'm expecting to see your girls on here is evidence enough. But exactly. I think that also worked because clearly when you have, whether you want to call it alignment or confirmational bias, they mean the same thing. One is perceived to be negative, the other's positive, but they're the exact same thing. with whether it's McGill's work or the assumption that there's, rehab is typically not as aggressive as it could or should be. There was no disagreement. I probably maybe had I had that pinch gripped, more, where there was at that point, there was nothing that I had seen that I wasn't either applying or
Sure.
collegially offended by.
Yeah.
So versus if somebody were to show up and say crazy things, like, if they were from Michigan or something, at that point, they would, or, if somebody was from Queensland, they would, it would be a more challenging situation
Got
because
it.
these are their hallmarks don't have a role in my thought process at that time from a rehab standpoint. The
Yeah.
Michigan stuff, the stuff from Michigan, clearly very valuable, just not from a rehab standpoint. And then that got to, I guess, 2015, where we came and did the course there.
Absolutely.
But that's when
Yeah.
you had just gotten your facility at that point, or soon thereof.
No, so I opened the facility in March. Sorry, I got the keys in March. We opened in June 2015,
Yeah.
and you were over in September, October 2015. Yeah,
Excuse me. And we had obviously very memorable because it was in a foreign country for me, but still many people that I still talk to.
absolutely.
Where two things from Alex Kraz that I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah,
Number one, of course, taking, again, that this one I'll say, like, needling, actually literally needling, as my expectation is that most people in the UK have a tremendous affinity for the work of someone like David Butler, and who has pretty much suggested that trigger points don't exist. So
yeah,
after whatever we did, and I stuck my thumb, probably somewhat wantonly, like not like just to prove a point that you don't really have to have this precise therapeutic approach here, and all of a sudden it hurts in the front of your shoulder, and then you keep doing it, and then your shoulder does a whole bunch of things more desirably. I'm like, okay, so what would your boy call it if that wasn't a trigger point? Well, he would
yeah.
call it. I'm not going to do an English accent because you're going to tell me it sounds Australian. And he just say that it's he would call it a neurological phenomenon. Fine. So there's no such thing as trigger points. There's neurological phenomenons. You win.
Exactly, exactly.
You lost in 1776, but you win
You
now.
win now.
Oh man! But the other one,
Yeah.
it's not hypermobility. It's hypostability. And
There we go. Yeah.
he gets full credit for that. Because I say, I
Exactly.
don't care if you have Ehlers-Danlos or not. Because I am very confident. And of course, there's no study because healthy people don't submit to studies to learn about unhealthy people. If you look at
Exactly.
gymnasts or whatever they are, people that are strong and fit, I bet there is some level of Ehlers-Danlos or in that population. But
Yeah.
because no one is hypermobile. It's like it's completely irrelevant. You're just weak or hypostable, meaning you don't have
Yeah.
the control. And he got that,
Exactly.
but that was at that time when I was doing my course a little bit more. I don't really do it anymore for reasons that
Sure.
are fairly. I just can't. Like it's too much. I'm not afraid of competition, but I don't want to compete with trash. So just
Fair enough.
we'll do this instead. And
Fair enough.
to bring together what people would typically identify as mutually exclusive commercial models.
Yeah.
Because at that point, that was where things really started to roll in that continuing education space, where you became a so-and-so guy.
Exactly.
If somebody were to put a collar on me, they would say, well, I'm an FMS guy. Well, I'm not sure that's possible, but you're just using concepts because there's no tried and true exercise model that you use with a scientifically merited evaluation approach. So what we did, we would typically, that's why we're talking about, David Butler and a lot of the very successful and appropriate mechanical treatments that come out of that world, even though they're not really mechanical, you're going to measure them mechanically.
Yeah.
So if you, where we showed like, oh no, like, look, yes, I'm going to evaluate because right now at that time, I think this is the most complete way to evaluate for musculoskeletal approach to find painful and non-painful contributors.
Yeah.
How would you fix it? How would you change it? How would you create priorities, not only from a neuromuscular standpoint, but also there's nothing wrong with the dude's shoulder. What would you do there? And how can we link those both mechanical and physiological approaches? And that was really, I mean, I just described my philosophy. It's no different. There's just a whole bunch of different ways to do it.
Exactly.
And because
exactly.
you had a very good group. There was one dude who, I remember you warned me, he was a little goofy. But I don't remember him being trouble. Like he wasn't a problem.
No, Charlie, not like it is today.
Oh,
right?
crazy.
I think
Crazy.
today, honestly, I think it's an absolute, it's a minefield out there of differing opinions that are very antagonistic. People are not open to listening to people's opinions and understanding. It's just, everyone's trying to diss someone else. And I find it phenomenally unprofessional. That's why I got to be honest. I don't get into any debates on Instagram or social media.
Me neither.
I can't. And
I tell people, like people who I look up to, I'm like, yo, coach, don't do it. Like they just, and of course, I always liken it to professional wrestling. I was just having this conversation with somebody who might have a jersey behind you. And it's like,
that's not there on purpose,
I don't get into those conversations because it's like professional wrestling. The way that you bring someone up the card, like how do you take somebody from the mid card to a main eventer? You put him in a program with the main eventer and you make him look good. He'll beat up the main eventer, or he'll have this valiant effort, where he's like hanging on, and then the main eventer smashes him, but he gets back up every time, so the fans start to believe in him. But he would never get that credibility if he wasn't in the ring with the top guy.
Exactly.
Now, I'm not going to go any further and use terms to describe myself like that, but I'm not doing that. I'm not getting into that. And that's a big reason why I don't get into these, I don't teach as much anymore, because that's not what people are looking for. I found that what we accomplished there, and then we're going to talk about, because I think you do that, you have your own courses, but you're also still carrying McGill's model where you probably have right-left barriers because you're representing someone else's business, which I think is very, very, like, I haven't taught an FMS course in a long time, but clearly when I would, there's certain things that I absolutely would not say simply because I'm representing another company. But when I do my own course, or I'm on my own, I say whatever I want because just like Drago, I fight for me.
Exactly.
This is where, even in a podcast, hey, before we go on, I'll be like, hey, look, you talk about, I'll say what you want me to say, but just don't ask me about someone's name or their commercial model. If you're good enough to ask the question without that means you actually understand their approach. And now, but I'm like, but what do you expect me to say? Like, you already know the answer. You just want to hear me talk shit, which I promise will probably be very entertaining. But and there's so
not
many
for
people,
public consumption, but
it's not worth it. Because I probably I did make those mistakes. I would still insist it's still funny. But it's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong.
Of course it is.
Yeah, it's
just,
wrong.
you know what? It's just, honestly, Charlie, I get to see these guys and what they say and how brazen they are about, speaking about a lot of the people whom we have picked up knowledge from. And it just, for me, I don't ever want to get involved in that, man.
Yeah.
And honestly, truth be told, I'm actually too busy looking after my patients or clients or whatever term you want to use. And again, when I sit every week with this new panel that I'm now a permanent fixture in, it humbles me completely. Because the interesting thing is this: I was talking to Stu about this just a few days ago, And I said to him, I said, Stu, what the interesting thing is? I said, yesterday I was on this panel, right? And the first two cases we spoke about, because there's about 13 of us, all right? And it's neuroradiologists, it's 2 radiologists, it's 7 or 8 orthopedic and neurospinal surgeons, pain management specialists, the whole caboodle, right? And so we sit there, and the first 2 patients, the first one was a 47-year-old female, and the second one was a 31-year-old female, right? Both of them had presented at this particular clinic with back pain, and after looking at the scans, one of them's got metastases, right, in her spine. So, man, this is a whole different ball game now, right? Because she was a previous breast cancer survivor. So now there's been a metastases into her spinal vertebral bodies, and the other one has a tumor sitting at the back of the thoracic spine. And then now we're sitting and we're discussing these cases as to what procedure you're going to do, how you're going to counsel these people. First and foremost, is this something that you can even treat, especially in the one that's got a metastasis of the cancer? And I said to Stu, when you're sitting and you're discussing cases like this, and then you get onto Instagram and you see some of these youngsters, right, putting up these memes and having a go at other people because they think that what they say is a bunch of crap. I'm like, man, I haven't got time for that. Really,
No,
I just don't.
It's part of growing up, and it's part of having the safety that we all look for in life. And I would just say those people are looking for safety, which is the word that I use a lot to describe a lot of different things. Yeah. And if that's how they're getting it, they're not going to get it from me. It's
no.
But let's make sure you get home here because there's a couple other important things.
Sure, man.
So
I'm in no rush.
That puts us to a particular time, and you became one of these highly sought after, not only just in the UK, but because that is clearly an epicenter for a lot of things in all of Western Europe. People would travel to come to you. People will come probably from the Middle East. Look, it's not
all over.
Yeah, and look, it's obviously I haven't had that in several years. In New York since the lockdown, and then moving out of there. But you built this thing where you have training. I've been to your gym. There's tons of space, like downstairs. There wasn't therapists there. But you're handling only back pain. We talked a lot about business, and it's like, all right, well, if you're going to be like me and you're going to trade time for money, and you're going to work all these hours, whether you count the ones that are on a plane or not, they do count. Well, then
sure.
you need to charge. If you're going to trade time for money, trade a lot of time for a lot of money. I mean, that's doing good work is not an option. Like that's. Whether you charge $1 or $1 billion, the assumption
you're doing
is that
good work.
Whether you do it for free or not. I think
Absolutely.
people miss that point as well. The quality doesn't have to change, and certainly if it does, then you hit a roadblock.
Yeah.
But you just kept raising the price. People keep paying. Just in other situations we see all across a lot of businesses, and all the while you're teaching McGill's courses. Where you had a big run there where you were all over the place. Then the pandemic hit. But you would teach your own course too, where you're working for yourself. Like you have a little bit more latitude to say what you want to say because I won't say who it is because I don't know that he would want this known to people that are closely affiliated to his clinical brand. But so and so said to me, Charlie, I would way rather hear you talk about these things because you're not saying what we tell the instructors to say. Now clearly you see why I'm not going to name who it is because then the instructors are going to get mad. They think they're really just the pawns. They're not the knight, in the back row next to the king and the queen.
Sure.
And it's like I would say like I'm not beholden to this commercial brand. I'm the commercial brand. And you found that too, but that doesn't mean you're not still partial to the concepts of a different commercial brand. Like I can still talk about other things and not get into the other pieces that I think can be better. Because the bottom line is, if something's going to be reproducible, you might not be able to get into all those other things. You can't be free spirited in your thoughts if something's going to be reproducible to sell.
Sure.
And I think you figured that out.
Well, what's quite interesting, Charlie, and I'll never forget this particular day. I'm not going to go into the whole story, but Stu has been extremely trusting of me in spreading the word of his research and what he does. But at no stage has he ever confined me to a box and basically saying, well, this is what you're allowed to or not allowed to teach, because him and I partly developed the courses together, right? Because, I got involved with Stu when really he was only teaching one course. And now, we now have 3 courses that have come out of this. So I was partially part of the development, right, of these courses. And there was a lot of experimentation going on as we were putting them together. And really, he's left me to my own devices with regards to teaching the courses, which has been fantastic. And I think that's why we work very, very well together.
Yeah.
He's never put any restrictions on me. However, by the same token, I'm extremely, and this as a friend of mine, I'm extremely respectful of people's work. So I would never, ever step, I would never step over the line with Stu's stuff. So if he's got the trust in me, I'm going to respect him. But definitely the way I teach the course now, even compared to how I teach it a year ago, Charlie, it's changed completely, because my experience, right, with other surgeons, with neuroradiologists, I can bring that experience into the course and still stay within the confines of using Stu's research. So I haven't gone completely, wayward with this stuff.
Let's
it all
get on
stays
that.
together.
Yeah, let's get on that, because that's one of the important topics that I know people see my name, they see your name, and if they haven't watched these things before, it's not very clinical. It's just two people talking and catching up, etc. But clearly, it is important to discuss something clinical.
Sure.
That we can call it confirmational bias, or we can call it alignment. We clearly both wholeheartedly agree on two particular very related issues, particularly as it relates to spinal pathology, spinal health, spinal fitness. I find it absolutely bizarre. I find it just disgraceful and completely I cannot understand why there is any reason to not image people. It's unbelievable to me. Now, I told you a few minutes ago that in my brief time in Marine Corps Special Operations as a physical therapist, you can order X-ray. So I do have that perspective. If there is information in the ether that exists, the information exists, we just have to access it. Why in the world would you not do it? Whether it's the spine, the knee, I'm not challenging that meniscal tear can be rehabilitated without any type of aggressive treatment. But how in the world are you telling me that you somehow have magnetic vision and you know that tear is in this particular location and you know it's not a bucket handle? Why? So what I have begun to tell people, and I've done this now a very long time, I began a long time ago, MRIs and imaging is information. It doesn't mean action. But I'll be damned when people expect something from me, they expect that I'm not going to waste their time. And if I see something, and furthermore, I think these clowns, because I'm still me, I'm still going to use the language that
sure.
They don't have the relationship with any level of physician, whether it's primary care sports medicine, like a physiatrist, which is very common in the UK, less common here, but they're out there. Going up to orthopedic surgeon, spinal, neuro, whatever it is, where they play nice, like they act as equals. because I understand that if you think you're going to image somebody, you're possibly going to lose control over that case, where now they're going to get surgery when they probably don't need it. Dude, don't send them to that physician. Like that's part of all this. Like, no, you like this whole refer out, it doesn't mean you go to the physical therapist down the street that's convenient and takes your insurance. You go where I tell you to go. So when I tell you to go to a surgeon, you're going to a surgeon that I know will not blow up this entire thing. I'm like, Dr. Joel, hey, listen, I'm sending you Billy. I need an MRI on this. Okay, no problem. What else do you see? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, here, just here. I'll write up the MRI right now. I'll see him on Wednesday. Now, how about we endeavor to create that relationship and don't just throw your hands up and like, doctors don't respect me or blah, blah, blah. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like, you just put stuff on Instagram that person would get treated, unfortunately, for weeks.
Yeah.
And they realize that the cage is sitting in the freaking wrong spot. Like, there's no way to know this. There's no McGill evaluation. There's no SFMA.
Nothing.
It does nothing.
You need scans, bud. And you've seen the scans I've put on Instagram, right? And obviously they've all been anonymous, but these are clients. These are real clients that come to see me, and they've been treated over and over again. And their treating clinicians have said to them, there's no need for scans. Scans are not a diagnosis. Scans don't change the treatment. Yeah. But that's not what it is. Well, maybe they do. But the thing is, Charlie, this is my take on it. Those clowns that are saying that, first and foremost, I don't believe they have the skills to know how to interpret scans. That's number one.
Yeah.
Okay. And number two, I don't believe they know how to correlate the findings of the scans to any type of clinical outcomes from their assessments to make sense of the situation. Man, I have spent literally, I have spent hours upon hours learning how to read CTs, MRs, X-rays, but hours. I've been up until 3, 4 in the morning studying. I have spent thousands of pounds, on private training with radiologists and neuroradiologists to go through absolutely everything. And the funny thing is this, even with that, I've got a very, very strong medical clinical team that when I still don't quite understand, because I'm not a radiologist. Okay, I put my hand up and I declare this publicly. I'm not a radiologist. And when I get to a point of where there's something that I don't quite know what's going on there, man, it's as quick as a phone call. I've got 3 or 4 radiologists at my disposal because they know how close and how synergistically we work together.
Yes.
I've got no qualms in sending my guys to them or my patients to them. I've got no qualms in sending my patients to my surgeons who I know respect me as someone who understands spinal biomechanics, and we work as a very cohesive, coherent team. We don't bat for our own team, man.
If people would say that they don't have that would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Because the real message of because now it's incriminating. Now it's like saying, yeah, I don't have a good relationship. Where I've had people like, Charlie, how do you have these relationships with these surgeons at Hospital Special Surgery, the greatest hospital, the greatest sports and orthopedic hospital in the world? Where you're saying, because like it's true, like but they're not like playing number 2. It's like everybody plays 1A. The patient is 1. And
exactly, man.
Because it could also go the other way. Let's say it's this basic bulge, or obviously let's try and use the formal. So bulge, herniation, sequestration. Those are probably the 3 terms in radiology that is inarguable. So let's just say it's the most mild of migration, and there's nothing that has challenged the integrity through the annulus. So the annulus is basically beat up a little bit. I would, so it can go the other way. So if that person got the MRI first, and then somehow they got to a competent clinician, that could be a legitimate, just because somebody, because we won't get to the other piece, how they report pain is only up to them. That I'd find it odd that would be a surgical approach, but I'm sure there's a surgeon out there that would try to chop up the lamina and give them some more room. Except
absolutely.
That symptom could also be a neurological phenomenon, also known as a trigger point in the rest of the world, of the glute minimus. It is the
Can very well be.
exact same. It could be compression of the sciatic nerve at multiple peripheral levels.
Exactly. Doesn't have to be lumbar nerve root.
There's about 7. I mean, look, that was just the disc. The nerve root, the disc and the nerve root are 2 different pieces in terms of the issue. Like you have frank annular pain or a fractured end plate, that might not feel any different because that's generating fluid that encroaches on the nerve root. But the nerve root itself is completely normal. There's no spurring. There's no stenosis. Or if you do have stenosis, that doesn't mean it's the problem. So when we talk about
not at all.
I'm using an example that probably does have, there's 7 different constructs that could be contributing to the person's perception of pain. So it goes the other way. But if I bang on L5, if I bang on multifidus of L5, gesturing with a needle, and I bang on the glute minimus, and we do whatever we need to do to look at neurodynamics where the nerve is completely healthy, it's just stiff, because a stiff nerve feels a lot like how do you not get an MRI, and how does it not take you an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes to qualify all those things? Because they're doing stupid evaluation where you measure muscle test and all this stupid nonsense. Like the day one, the treatment and the evaluation are the same thing. So that we're getting past these. He's like, my pain is significantly improved. All right, then we can put that MRI. We're going to put it in our back pocket, because I don't think that the facts that are on the MRI, it's not a cloudy picture. There's nothing that we need to pass judgment on.
Sure.
Facts are not always relevant. I am wearing a Punisher hat. It is completely irrelevant. I could be I have a Green Lantern bottle. It is completely irrelevant. And that's
But Charlie,
see peripheral areas like the meniscus. People love saying about the meniscus. Don't get an MRI of the meniscus. Really? Like, what are you kidding me? Unbelievable.
But you know what the interesting thing is, okay? And I've spoken to multiple professionals, and professionals, funny enough, whom you have a personal relationship with, right? And these guys are really at the top of their game. And if you speak to any of these guys, you get the same answer. When I ask the question, what is the gold standard of determining lumbar nerve root compression? MRI. Period. That's it. Across the board, you don't get any other. There's no. If you speak to Mr. Neurodynamic himself, okay, he'll tell you straight away, man. Okay, neurodynamics don't test for pathology. All right.
No,
they don't test for pathology. You want to understand pathology, man? Get an MRI. Absolutely, because you will get to see gross nerve compression. And because, understand, Charlie, someone walks in and they got foot drop, okay? You assuming that there's a lumbar nerve root compression. But again, it could be peripheral. It doesn't need to be the origins within the lumbar structures themselves.
It could be a ruptured Achilles.
It could be a ruptured Achilles. Do you know what I'm saying? How many people have had Baker's cysts, right, that have entrapped the sciatic nerve completely, that has caused massive peripheral issues? Now, the interesting thing is that you get an MRI and you get a clear and concise image as to what is happening on those exiting nerve roots and traversing nerve roots. And it allows, at least between you and the patient, to have a conversation, okay, to formulate the next steps in their treatment plan.
That's it. It doesn't mean you have to do something about it.
No, not at all.
I have scripted language, like, Joel, don't worry. I do think there's something going on here that I can't determine on physical exam. You see, we just spent an hour. I'll be happy to see you again. There might be a couple other things that I might try, but I would almost rather you use your resources to get an image. Now, here's the thing. I don't care where you get the image. I need the radiologist report. You can get your buddy, the dentist, to write it for all I care. Now, if you, the reason is because I can't, if I don't know them, they're going to be, who is this physiotherapist? They trying to tell me what to do.
Sure.
The people that, like, nobody is going to wheel you into the surgery room if you go where I tell you to go.
Yeah.
And that's where another day, another time is, how do you develop that? And I think the first step is very, very easy. When you're on this side of allied health, you're typically reliant on other people to refer you people.
Okay.
I don't feel like I'm in that spot. I tell new surgeons, hey, You don't have to send me anybody. It's when I send someone to you, you treat them like it's your family. That's all I ask. That's all.
Yeah.
If you never send me a client, a patient, I don't care. Don't worry about it. How about you give more to the surgeon or the physician? You refer them and you show up with them, which
Exactly, man.
You then build a relationship, even if it's not organic, because if you throw a lot of money at somebody, they'll probably talk to you. I mean, the Can't Buy Me Love from 1986 or whatever it is, Ronald Miller never would have got the girl in the end if he didn't buy her the dress.
Exactly.
Never would have happened. So you could say it turned out well, but I think
Charlie, on that note, I think I owe. Sorry, I lost you there for a second.
Yeah, go again.
I said, on that note, I said, I think I own about 50% of one of my surgeon's Ferraris.
Well, hopefully he'll let you drive it. He'll let you drive it sometime.
I hope so. But anyway, you're right, man. You're right.
Please, there's nothing to be. MRIs are necessary. X-rays are necessary. CTs are necessary. How dare you think that you can determine, some of these differential diagnoses, even if the pain is not modulated with movement, it's on both sides, blah, 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 some of these things to determine if it's medical or not. You saved somebody's life. I mean,
Charlie, exactly, man. It's funny. I had a follow-up call with a patient who flew in with her husband from Sweden to come and see me about a month ago. So today was our follow-up call. Now, this woman has literally been in pain, consistent pain, that has disabled her. And she's a young woman whose child is 11 years old. She's been in pain for 11 years. She's seen everyone that she assumes are the best within her country to try and find out what's causing this pain. Anyway, so the pain came on as soon as she had finished giving birth to her child 11 years ago. Anyway, she came to see me. She came with some old film MRIs. That's what they've got in Sweden. I think she had some new MRIs, but it was like a 0.75 Tesla machine. Really wasn't giving you any good images. And I did a full assessment on her. And my assumption, just from my assessment, is that this has got nothing to do with discogenic pain. I think she's got pelvic ring issues, along with what could potentially be an incomplete neurulation of the posterior neural arch. So spina bifida occulta, okay? Which is causing a stress shielding along the pelvic ring just due to the outcomes of the assessment. And she said, Joel, what's the next step? And I said, you need to get a CT scan. I need to see the bones. I said, because you can go back and forth with a whole bunch of MRIs. They may MRI your pelvis. They may not MRI your pelvis. We need a CT scan. And she goes, no one's ever even told me about a CT scan in 11 years. I said, if I can't see what's happening in your bones, I can't, we can't make a call on it. Straight away, man. So she's organized two things. We've organized a CT, a SPEC CT, because we want to see if there's any hot areas around the pubic symphysis or the sacroiliac joints. And then we've called for coronal views on the MRs because we can't see anything on sagittal and axial. And very rare do people call for coronal.
Well, the complexity or the specificity there aside, in those situations, I would also offer whatever the time allowed for if there was an exposition into pain-free exercise, because you could obviously have some significant findings on the imaging, but of course. But if the exercise changes their symptoms, I might say something like, look, if for some reason you are against these images, try these exercises. I might be willing to see you again to show you more if it made sense, but I don't know how long that relief will last if I don't know this other information. So you see, it's like options. It's like, and then usually that person will always choose the imaging, but like, because I get it, it's inconvenient. It's like insurance in other countries is even worse than here, but because they need somebody to write it up. So
Got
again,
it.
like, and now oh yeah, but Charlie, if I go to your guy, they're going to charge this much. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, I don't.
Well, we gave her the option, so we've definitely we've started with a conservative intervention of the exercises, utilizing certain tools to try and stiffen up certain areas of the pelvis. And again, there seems to be things that are definitely working. But now she wants the scans because she wants to find out once and for all what this mystery has been for 11 years.
Absolutely. And if the exercises create the solution,
hey, man.
you put the images in your file and be like, you're good to go. Like that's keep doing this. I don't think people are so scared that imaging equals a very particular action, of which they typically lose their even altruistic role in this individual's rehab. That it's, in other words, it's pretty gosh darn selfish. Because now the problem again is that they don't have a channel where this individual gets the proper imaging without losing that role. And that's building that relationship is the skill, if you will, that will translate to an improved outcome.
Extremely important, Charlie.
So,
extremely important. And that's why, I always say, I'm part of the Godfather team. When people come and see me and they say, can I get imaging from you? And, I've at least, funny enough, I was dealing with a youngster today who came for a consult, and he said, Joel, he goes, what's really reassuring? He said, even if you don't have the skills to sort me out, I'm very confident, that you've got someone who at
sounds
least...
familiar, right? Yeah, sounds
exactly.
familiar. Like, hey, listen,
exactly.
I promise you're going to be fine. It just might not be me doing the bulk of the work.
Me.
Yeah,
exactly, man.
Hey,
exactly.
Let's get to the next piece, and then we'll finish up as it relates to a particular issue that you and I have both experienced. I think you've been public, so I'll share. I believe you've had 7 spinal surgeries over the last very short period of time. I was on the schedule, and like many significant spinal issues, they spontaneously go away. Mine has not completely gone away, but certainly I'm not in need. However, I think we are both very credible in describing neural compression pain, neural pain, whatever word it is. And for there to be any suggestion that pain does not exist anywhere other than your brain, I'd like to have a chat with you and et cetera, it's ridiculous and disgraceful to tell someone that is experiencing pain that somehow this is all in their head. I've been very vocal in my time because, as you know, and I've shared this with many people, every year I will significantly invest in something that I don't believe in. Something that I think is antagonistic. We could figure out the year that they don't appear to be doing it anymore, but out in San Diego, the pain conference. I went to the
I spoke to you when you were at that conference.
Yeah, and my attorney told me to stop tweeting. I'm like, it was disgusting. And actually, the biggest part that was horrible was I was afraid to raise my hand, and that put me on a different course of those mistakes that I was making before. Because I don't ever want somebody who's paying to see me speak in a conference or a seminar that they don't feel that they can ask a question to get their money's worth. Because if I had asked, and this dude was complete buffoon. There was and it wasn't just me. I was sitting next to other people that, again, had confirmational bias or alignment. You choose how you want to say it. That, and like, I'm like, he was actually showing some forms of like poorly executed exercise, but the same exercises that a proper evaluation would have revealed. It was just an absolute disaster. But to suggest that pain is in your head, and doesn't exist in your leg and doesn't exist in your nerve root is horrible. Now, I don't know that the prime messengers would say that. I think maybe the second tier listener and the third tier listener.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
which is what usually happens.
well,
Yeah.
so-and-so doesn't really say that. I'm like, I'm okay, fine. He or she doesn't really say that, but a lot of other people are. And to think that somehow, when if I pay the price for what I did in powerlifting, and quite frankly, I don't really know anybody that was at the elite levels of powerlifting that's still a gymnast. Even though
Exactly.
I could still do something.
Yeah.
Even though I'm going to get this left hip hopefully cleaned up on Tuesday of next week with a PRP.
Good luck,
We're not
man. Good.
PRP, but to suggest that is let me take a sledgehammer to your tibia and tell me if you can think out your pain. That's
Charlie,
awful.
Charlie, as you know, some of my story is on YouTube and Instagram, okay? And
Yeah.
and you know more than anyone, okay?
Yeah.
Or
I'm
you're
not
part
gonna,
of a
yeah.
group,
Yeah,
okay?
I'm not going to say too
Who
much
knows
because it's up for you to decide how much you want to share of your personal issue
exactly.
with these surgeries.
So you
But
know you're part of a small group of people who know exactly the extent of what I went through, right? And I will tell you this: when I had that second surgery, which was the beginning of the pain journey, right? And I woke up after they had inserted these pedicle screws,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
into my back and pulled my spine back by 5 mil. I woke up with a bowstring injury or a neuropraxia, okay, down the left L5 nerve root.
make sure everybody knows what neuropraxia means.
It's basically
Neurotemesis, neuropraxia. Give them all three. Give them all three.
I'll make it very simple. We'll call it a bowstring injury. So basically, as they pulled my spine back, okay, all the structure was very compliant in being mobilized back by 5 millimeters, except the left L5 nerve root, which had actually adapted over the last 20 or 25 years to its positional change. So when they pulled the spine back, the nerve root got stretched, and it's a bowstring injury, okay?
Yeah.
Man, oh man, I got to tell you something, Charlie, and I've broken bones, I've fallen off buildings,
Oh,
martial
come on.
artist,
Yeah.
I've done it all. I have never in my entire life experienced pain to this degree. Charlie, they put me on opioids, right? Where they basically said to me, Joel, all right, we are going to give you the highest legal dose of opioids that we can.
It won't do anything. Yeah.
To bring this pain down. Charlie, for 2 hours and 45 minutes, we were in the recovery room. They took my pain down from a 15 out of 10 to a 14. Okay?
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Yeah.
Which was enough to stop me screaming to get me back up to my room. And that's what I was like, bud, for weeks. And eventually lost the use of my leg, right? Because the neuropraxia caused literally like a denervation of the L5 distribution, had no dorsiflexion, couldn't move my big toe, couldn't move my foot. All right. Now I'm lying there and I'm thinking to myself, the thing that needs to occur is for some young therapist to walk into my room in hospital and tell me that I need to have good thoughts in my head because this is all in my head.
Yeah, you need graded motor imagery, right? That'll do it. Yeah, I'm an equal opportunity. Like, yeah, tell me how your graded motor imagery is going to work for that.
How's this one going to
with your pretty little
up,
shirt
bud?
on? Yeah, with your polka dot shirt on. Tell me how that works, pal.
And in actual fact, I'll tell you a little secret. There was a young physical therapist working at the hospital, and he was due to come and see me. And somehow my surgeon got to hear about it. And my surgeon phoned him and said, he called down to the room. And he said to the guy, he said, do me a favor. He said, you don't know who the patient is. He said, I'd prefer you not to go in there and work with him. Because he knew that this particular youngster had come out of a school of education that was very biased toward, the pain is, we got to create graded mental imagery.
Yeah.
And my surgeon turned, because my surgeon knows me very well, and he turned around and he said, I'm advising you, leave this patient alone. He knows what to do. Charlie, last thing I wanted to hear was someone tell me that, good thoughts, man, good thoughts. My leg, you know what it felt like? Literally, it felt like my leg was being gnawed off, right, by wolves.
No, okay. I don't. I'm trying to remember because it's been a long time, and I've done, and it's gone. It comes back a little bit as I've changed my training a little bit. I'm trying to think of it. Is there a way to describe it? It's there's no pain that I've ever felt. Like, it's
No.
and it's relentless. Like, it doesn't go away. I remember walking in Atlanta airport, because if I was just standing still, you wouldn't know. I could fight it to that degree. So it's
Yeah.
not nearly the same levels that you're talking about. But I remember, like, because in Atlanta, you have to change planes to get to wherever I was going. I remember, like, limping, like I broke my leg. I mean, and so you're in an airport, people, they look at you for a second and then you go by. And I remember, like, leaning up against the wall, like I was gonna sleep on the
Yeah.
wall, like a hobo, like a homeless person. And it's like that relief, or that simply change of position. All right, got to keep going. Like, got to keep going. But I remember crying with Ali and in front of the surgeon. And you know what was interesting? And I don't talk to this surgeon too much anymore, because he's like, I'll do it whenever you want. Like, this is, because obviously to do a spinal surgery, it was just going to be a decompression. But when you say just decompression, even though
Dude,
I'm 5 foot nothing, I'm going to be out for a long time. There's a lot of bone in there from
big time.
powerlifting.
Big time.
And I said, I wanted to do it on, I said, I'm good. Let's do it on December 26th. And he's like, oh, can you do it a different day? I'm like, you motherfucker. Like, are you, you know what? My back started to feel better.
Yeah.
So I'm not, like, the notion that spinal pathology, because you've seen my MRI, it's not make believe. It's not I have a.
I actually
it's not
looked
like
at it today.
Yeah, it's not like I have this hyper.
No.
Like, I got some shit going on.
No, you do.
But should I still be able to move and lift the way I lift right now? It's clear that pathoanatomy does not have to equal a very specific set of symptoms.
Correct.
Except it can.
It sure can.
And to think that it doesn't happen is horrible.
No, that's infantile thought process, man.
And to think that a surgical procedure is not warranted, God forbid imaging is not warranted, much less treating. Obviously, there's individuals that would suggest, just go for a walk and just stretch a little bit. Yeah, like, those are all really, really good things. But don't tell me that me dropping a needle in you is not good for anything. Because
exactly.
if you are allowed to have significant pain from this perceptive mental component, well, then you can change pain with a specific component. So
absolutely, you can.
Like, if you feel better and you call it a placebo, I don't think anything is a placebo. I think you just measured the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Like, so if I needle you, even though there's significant literature to support all methods, manual therapy, etc.
Sure.
I want you to do the general exercise. I want you to walk. I want you to find a preference in your positions. But please, like, don't think that therapy can't help boost you and get you to a better place faster, so that you can go back and correct, if there is something to correct, what got you to that unfortunate dance in the first place. And it's very disappointing. It's very disappointing. And
Charlie,
I feel bad. I feel bad for these individuals, because I think just like these young individuals that want to mouth off, and remember, coming from somebody who is very open to admitting mistakes that I have made earlier in my career, and I'm glad I've been able to outrun them. People like to be able to take these very poignant and very sensational positions so that people listen to them. And I feel bad. I feel bad that because they after a while, I think they actually believe it. Like,
I think so too.
So if it takes you 3 months,
Kool-Aid pill.
Yeah, if it takes you 3 months, and if I dig my elbow in your glute minimus, where we know is a neurological phenomenon, for this radiating symptom that looks just like L5S1,
yeah,
and you're back in 2 months and 1 week, and I got you 3 weeks so that you can really start to ramp it up and build mitochondria and improve your hormonal profile, improve
Of
your
course.
immune system, all the things that were underwater, because all of those things are what got you to the dance. I didn't say there was anything wrong with your disc or anything like that. I just find that reprehensible, that to tell somebody that you shouldn't do something when the message includes what they want to do also. It's not either or.
No,
I
exactly.
feel bad for that person.
Well, the interesting thing is, I'll share just a little personal note. Is when I got home from hospital, which was 3 weeks after I had been admitted into the hospital, the only thing that I could tolerate, I couldn't even tolerate people's hands on me, right? Even if my kids wanted to hug me, I couldn't let anyone touch my back. The only thing I could tolerate is my really, really good friend, okay, who is an absolute master with needles. Master with needles. He came over to my house twice a week. He came on a Monday and a Friday. And for about a month to about a month and a half, that is the only therapy that I had, beside obviously just trying to walk and do my own stuff. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I can't tell you, right, what it did. I don't have the answer as to what went on within the muscle or within my body. But man, oh man, I tell you something, that I get relief. Amazing relief.
Yeah,
Better than any opioid, better than
I would just love for someone that process is not part of their clinical thought process to learn, to take their energy into learning what, if any, what happened that gave you the relief. Because what's very, very hard is, like, when we look at needles or manual therapy, we think that we should expect there to be some kind of literal mechanical change.
Sorry, dude, I got to charge my phone. Carry on speaking. I'm just going to move.
If I needle this thing, then this other thing doesn't yank on this other thing and you feel better.
Yeah.
When in fact, when you speak glowingly about this individual that was needling you, I would ask that, please don't leave the room until you measure this patient's oxytocin levels. Oh, well, I'm a physical therapist, I can't do that. I'm like, yeah, I know. End of discussion.
Exactly.
Or CPK, or some of these things where touch creates these real things that are not mechanical. So
exactly, man.
Now, I'm not saying the thing is that just because something is not always one thing doesn't mean it's never that thing. So
correct.
Clearly, when I describe dry needling or competent manual therapy, I'm saying all we're doing is trying to relax this tissue that is potentially contractile. Now, but at the end of the day, all I know is that I put pressure or put this thing here, or I scraped here, or I did something, and you feel better. That's all I know. I have no idea because I'm a clinician. Now, but if I know that you can do something more desirably, and in my opinion, safely tolerate more load of any kind, whether it's mechanical load, central load, autonomic load, all of those things are going to start to build up your relevant defenses and change your perception of pain.
Exactly.
You're going to change the sensitivity to somebody simply touching your back. So it's all of it. So it's like I feel like with these, I remember. This is crazy. So this is one of those horsemen that mechanics don't matter. And and like
got a few of those.
You could deadlift your body weight if you're lucky. And I didn't know who he was because the host of the course, you know what I'm talking about. In Canada. I didn't know who he was, or I would not have authorized him being a complimentary attendee.
Got you.
And I remember saying, now I will give this because I doubt that he's watching. He heard me.
I haven't seen his name come up.
Yeah, good. He heard me say, I was talking about the pain conference and how I felt like, like I never want anybody to feel like that about me. And he was totally genuine and apologized because he blew me up, even though in his mind he didn't. I'm like, listen, I'm not sure you're clearly not even thinking of this. When you are comped, you give up your right to say anything bad.
Sure.
Now,
Sure.
if you paid, you could say whatever you want. But I never would have even allowed you in the course had I known how derisive, and your message is. You think you're doing
Yeah.
the world a service. I think you're a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
being said, his message was genuine. He apologized. He felt bad. I have no interest in communicating with him, but I give him significant credit.
Fair enough.
I said to him, and he put in his message back to me, he's like, here's the thing. I know, maybe not to the detail, but I know everything you know. Because you think that's all of it, you don't know what I know. And he was referencing, when I did a demo, the dude had like shoulder pain or something.
Mm.
And he's like, I'm like, point to it. Yeah, it's more like down here. I'm like, oh, okay. And I did a very basic Mulligan snags technique at C7, it wound up being. And his pain was gone. We had the objective test. And I said, it's obviously nothing wrong with his shoulder.
Sure.
Because I'm not even saying there was anything wrong with his neck. I just kind of jiggled the system a little bit.
Did something, okay,
yes.
to interfere.
Well, because
absolutely.
his test clearly changed.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying he was very impressed by that because I said there was nothing wrong with his shoulder.
Mm.
So, you see, it's never just the cage pressing on a nerve. It's never just think good thoughts. It's never just, it's all of these things.
Exactly, man.
And when just like with you, and it's a good way to finish, I'm very clear that if I'm able to help somebody have what I call a dramatic result, meaning like your patient, like all of a sudden they're better out of nowhere. Like, they've seen who they think is the best. They've clearly not. Or maybe, the way to, how do you mesh that is like, listen, maybe I'm just the 1 out of 100. Like you saw 99 people and I just saw it a different way. Or maybe they just set me up. They paved the way and I just carried the ball across the goal line.
Exactly.
Maybe it was because you paid more than what is conventional. Maybe it's because you got on a plane and came to the greatest city in the world. Yours is second. Maybe it's because you heard so much and you believed that this was going to happen. I can't say it wasn't any of those things.
Yeah.
I can tell you what I think I did. Or maybe what I tried, what angle did I try to employ?
Yeah.
Like this was the model. Like, so if it's a trigger point, it's very easy to explain. If I press here, I expect the pain here to go away. That's what I thought. That's what I tried to do. But I can't prove that happened. I can prove that your shoulder moves better, and I want you to pick up that kettlebell, and I want you to press it over your head as many times as you can, as long as it doesn't hurt. Yeah. Because if you really did have an arthrosis, if you really did have a full thickness rotator cuff tear, you're not picking up that kettlebell.
Ain't gonna happen, pal.
It doesn't matter, exactly. And that's where we should be able to get to those touch points so that we can order imaging to put this person where they need as quickly as possible. So they're not wasting money. They're not wasting time, with therapy that isn't going to do anything. Or even more than therapy, like injections. I'm like, yeah, you could do a cortisone shot, but it's not going to do anything. Even though there might be another time, I think a cortisone shot's a very good idea here. It will allow us to grow our package of exercises very quickly. So that's
Charlie. I tell you, you know my hashtag, but everything matters. Okay,
and everything's connected.
Exactly. I never dismiss anything, man. Never. No scans, no past medical history. Everything for me matters, and that's how I'm going to continue to practice. And no one can convince me otherwise that don't matter. It's just
Ricky. We can dismiss Ricky. They don't even touch the person. How about that one? that one's out.
That's my next course I'm going on.
Yeah. Anyway, let me know how that goes.
I'll let you know, man. I'll fix you from here.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh man. But anyway, it's
But I think it is very important though, because if you and I are talking offline, it's alignment.
Yeah.
We have very, very similar upbringings in a clinical model. But then somebody who doesn't agree, they're going to say, bullshit, it's confirmational bias. Yeah. What I would like is people to decide for themselves.
Yeah.
Because if you're not sure, I don't know how, because I don't lose. Like, that's the thing. Like,
exactly.
Because it's like, because I want you to include that stuff, but I don't want you to discount this other stuff. You don't need to be special. You don't need to be on a team. You don't need to be known as a as a so-and-so guy. And you damn sure don't need to be known as a research or an evidence-based guy, because the evidence is helping people that can now do the next step. It's not just saying they feel better. They clearly can do things that they couldn't do before, and you're able to live a life that's happy.
Yeah.
You know, like that's as a clinician, because when you're happy, that all of those things matter. It becomes this highly infectious, and you develop confidence. And every young therapist or clinician or whatever, the last quality you ever lose is confidence.
Yeah.
You will never, like, you could forget everything, but you won't forget to be confident.
Exactly.
Because then when you're confident, you do access a lot of the social, psychosocial piece. But please don't forget biological. Like that's
it's super important, Charlie.
Yeah,
well, you know what I say. The only thing I can come to terms with is the fact that a lot of these youngsters and clinicians or people who are saying these things, they just see a very different demographic to whom I see.
Maybe.
It's the only way I can rationalize it in my head, because I've many people have said to me, Joel, I've been told that the pain's in my head, or I'm imagining it, and if you tell me that, tell me now so that I don't need to pay you and I can stand up and walk out of your office. And I'm like, man, we're not going to do that. And again, I don't have all the answers for every back pain patient in the entire world, but I sure as hell have got a team around me that will definitely find the answer for you, whether it's me or whether it's someone else.
There's so many different ways to change the words to that, but that's
it, man.
Yeah.
And
these last two pieces, you can tell, like, I'm emotional about it, because
I get it.
I mean, it's just I think it's less about having a staunch clinical, and for all I know, no one will see this part. They're just going to hear the other part. They're not doing it because, remember, I said they probably believe what they're doing.
Sure, they do.
But they feel like they need to stand out. They need to be different than somebody else. And it's like, man, like, man.
Hey, man. I just, you know what, for me, I'll tell you how I'm different. I just keep quiet and do my job and try to give my patients the best outcome they can.
I'm not that great. I'm not that great at keeping quiet, but I can still almost do a backflip. So it's
fair enough. Wait. Give me 12 months and I promise you I'm going to do splits between chairs.
All right. Well, hey, I've already done that many times. So
I also did it plenty of times before my surgery. At least let me try now after my 7 surgeries.
We got to get I'm going to teach you the pubic symphysis eldoa. That will be very useful. Pull that shit apart. Hey, hour and 45, man. We're good to go.
Fantastic, brother.
We'll talk to you soon. Tell everybody at the house I said hello.
I will. And best to Ali there. Cheers, bud.
All right, man. Bye-bye.